Joining me once again is Brittany Martinez, the Executive Director of Principles First. Brittany, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me back. Happy New Year, if we're still out to say that.
Happy New Year to you as well. And I think we could have had plenty of conversations regarding the news cycles and the stories and the headlines we've seen in the past 3 weeks alone, really since 2026 began. But I want to take a look back at the past year because it's been the 1 year anniversary. We officially passed that this week since President Trump was sworn into office a second time. It's really been a whirlwind 365 days. And I think the defining buzzwords and phrases of the past year could be tariffs, Doge, Signalgate, Big Beautiful Bill, immigration crackdown, bunker buster bombs, historic government shutdown, Epstein files, affordability, boat strikes, and Don Roe doctrine, to name a few. That's really only scratching the surface. I probably left 20 to 30 words out. But to start off the conversation, how would you define the past year, the first year of President Trump's second term?
Well, first of all, you saying that almost felt like you were going through the alphabet. I'm sure we could probably find an instance for every letter of the alphabet. Tired, whirlwind, exhausted, and I wish that there was less of the chaos and more of the governing and diplomacy. I think that's what's been missing. In the last few weeks alone, since the last time we talked, Brittany, what was that? Maybe a couple days before the new year, maybe even the day before the new year, right? And we have kidnapped a dictator in the middle of the night. We are fighting with our friends in Greenland. Apparently, we're going to take over. I have no idea what's going on, as usual, per what this administration is doing. And I think we need to be focusing on our adversaries and not alienating our allies and our friends.
I think that's a good point, and I want to talk about specifically, since you mentioned the foreign policy, I want to focus on that first then, because President Trump, he promised he's going to put America first, but I want to talk about if you think his actions are doing just that, because over the past year, I'll name some highlights of his foreign policy. The U.S. dropped bunker buster bombs on some of Iran's nuclear facilities. President Trump and the Trump administration helped negotiate a ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel. He continued to be involved in peace talks with Russia and Ukraine. There were boat strikes in the Pacific and Caribbean. Over 30 vessels were struck. Over 100 people were killed. These attacks, the Trump administration said, were strikes in part of a campaign against drug trafficking. As you mentioned, the United States, in a military operation, captured Venezuela's sitting leader and brought him back to the United States. And President Trump said he plans to not only run Venezuela, but be heavily involved in the oil industry in that country. And just within the past few weeks, President Trump has really renewed his push for the United States to acquire Greenland, much to the chagrin of many European leaders. Is all of this putting America first?
I would say no. I would say that I didn't vote for the president in the last election, but if I were one of his supporters, I'd say, where are all the promises that you've made for us? Why are we focusing on all of these side quests, it feels like, as opposed to, reducing the cost of the goods here at home? I know that there can be arguments made. We've seen a decline in gas over the last few weeks. I've also seen statistics about people talking about whether their lives are better now than before he took office. And you can find a stat and a poll that says yes, you can find a stat and a poll that says no. Ultimately, I think what's going to happen is after people get their refund or lack thereof for taxes, I think we may be singing a different tune as far as Americans go, and whether he's America first or not. Actually, he was voted in to fix the economy and to go after illegal immigration. Is the economy better? Are illegal border crossings reduced? I would say for the latter, yes, we know that's true, but we also know that it's been done in a very inhumane manner. I think people want humanity in the way that we approach these things. I'm not saying for the terrible perpetrators who partake in trafficking and exploitation of kids and all of that, of course, but otherwise, if you're someone who's lived here in this country for a long time and your biggest crime is that you came here when you shouldn't have, and you're getting dragged out of your home when you've lived here for a long time, I think that's what didn't settle well for Americans. So when he's focusing on all of these issues abroad and then those issues at home, he's not really delivering the best results as he suggested that he would. I don't think that is putting America first.